But let's get started. Happy Wednesday, everybody, May 1st. Wanted to start out today's all-staff call with a client story from our disaster assistance program team, Adrian. Adrian Vargas, if you could walk us through the client story to kick us off, that would be fantastic. Oh, and yes, of course, the agenda as well. So here's the agenda, and we're going to get to it. Adrian, it's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Adrian Vargas here with the DAP team. Thanks for being here. So usually DAB presents or shares stories about survivors with high award amounts, but this times we wanted to present the story of Enid Colon Torres. Enid Colon was actually one of my first survivors that I started working with back in January 2023. And one second. And I'm having some feedback here. One second. So as I was saying, Enid Colon was my first survivor, and after presenting many previous disaster, she could not recover by herself with Hurricane Fiona. And basically her whole house structure was affected. Her walls, foundation, everything was destroyed. And we had an estimate that sent over $49,000, which she definitely could not afford. And she was discouraged multiple times by FEMA agents. In fact, one of them told her that she could not understand how she was still living there, as her house was almost to be demolished. So this clearly affected Miss Enid in many ways. But we steered through turbulence. We explained the whole process and how sometimes things could happen, and we guided her with all the FEMA calls. We held meetings with the VALs, which are the FEMA volunteer agency liaisons, which did not give us many good expectations on her case. And after being denied multiple times, five in effect, she decided that she wanted to give one more chance, and we supported her on that last effort, and she was lastly approved $18,000. Yeah, there 1800, I should say, sorry. And even though this is higher than the average award for Fiona, it was just 3.7% of the estimate. Clearly not even enough to start repairs. Sadly, this approval was after she had the chance to appeal again, because the window had closed. And here you can see some comparison between Fiona disaster and Ian. It is hurricane in both, and for Fiona we filed 403 appeals. The appeal awards was $268,000, which in comparison to Ian, that with 397 appeals, they received 1.2 million. It's a huge discrepancy, like huge gap between disasters. And Ian average household received 7K, and in Puerto Rico it was just 1,700. Clearly a big gap, a big disparity. Although in Fiona, we were able to increase our original awards in over 550%, which is a huge improvement. And in Ian, 121% average increase. So that's a bit about Enid, which still it's fighting FEMA. She's still trying to understand their policy, and we have told her that any doubts she has, we are always there to guide her. If you have any questions, please do let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic, Adrian. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the update. And next up, I would like to invite our interim CEO, Tim Brady, to speak to us. Tim?
Hey, good morning, everybody. As you can see on that photo on the left, I'm a longtime volunteer at SVP. I first volunteered back in 2015, and I joined the board last year. And having been impressed with the way the organization was run, at least from the outside as a volunteer, I was very excited to join the board last year. And when I signed on to become interim CEO a couple of weeks ago, I came in the organization very excited, knowing it was a well-run organization. I got the opportunity to meet a lot of people last week. I was down in New Orleans for a few days and came away even more impressed. So super excited. Energy is high coming away from that visit. I will be back down there, back down in New Orleans starting on Sunday, May 5th through May 16th. I got a chance to meet some of you while I was there last week, and I hope to meet even more of you in the coming weeks. So just a quick bit about myself. I grew up just outside of Detroit. I have 2 children in college. I've been married for 26 years. My wife is a genetic scientist, so I will sometimes brag about her. She has a really impressive career. I spent most of my career in the tech world. I also ran a nonprofit prior in the education space, helping low-income students get into high endowment schools, highly competitive schools. In the last 12 years, I've spent as kind of a coach, if you will, an investor and a coach for tech startups. And so I saw a lot of different problems, help teams work through those problems. So I'm hoping some of that experience I'll be able to deploy with the teams here. But again, I came away super energized and impressed after my visit last week. So I'm super excited. Just a reminder to everyone, like leadership transitions are the normal part of, an evolving organization. It's normal. It's not to say that the transition won't be bumpy. There will be a few bumps. But again, just remind yourself that it's normal. My goal is to make that transition as smooth as possible. And if it gets too bumpy, just let your direct manager know. And if that doesn't work, then reach out to me. But I don't anticipate anything too crazy. And again, I'm super excited to be here. And if you're around in New Orleans the next 2 weeks, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. So with that, I'll pass it back to Kyle.
Fantastic, Tim. Thank you so much and welcome. Next up, we are going to talk about scorecard updates. And y'all, I apologize. I've been trying to make sure that that everybody introduces themselves and their title or their position for the new folks on the call. My name is Kyle Carson. I'm the Chief People Officer. Next up, we will invite Thomas Corley, our COO, Reese Chief Financial Officer. So Thomas, I believe you are first, sir.
Thank you, Kyle. Good morning, everyone. Let me do a little bit of a prologue first and then get into some of the scorecard updates. So first, thank you. I want you to know that leadership team, your directors, department heads, we see you and I see you. And over these last 4 months, we've seen how each and every one of you have shown up and you're leaning into this transformation and season of change. And thank you for what you're carrying and for what you're causing in vulnerable communities across the country. There's a ton of bright spots with our performance to date, and there's naturally a bit of drift. We'll talk about both. We've set big goals for 2024, and we're a third of the way through the year. So we'll celebrate some stuff and we'll point towards some stuff that we're going to continue to work on. I want to thank, there are a few folks on the call here that are participating in developing some recovery plans that are going to help guide really how we catch up where there is some drift, which I'm I'm excited for. But I want to just crystal ball for a second and just forecast maybe one thing. Without a doubt, I'm convinced that we're going to accomplish amazing things this year because of you. Because of how each one of you lean in, how you advocate, how you problem solve, how you collaborate. Like, we're going to accomplish amazing things. And we got this. Without a doubt, we're a third of the way through the year. We got this. And so keep watching, like, watch progress, watch movements, and kind of take note of this moment where there is a little bit of drift, because I think when we all come back together in another few months here to review progress, I think, and I hope that you all will be able to take stock of the ground we've gained because of this team and because of how you all show up. So with that, let me review a few elements of progress, and then I'm going to step aside and ask Reese to follow. So we'll start with build. We're about 30 homes shy of where we want to be as of the end of April. I think there are a few more jobs that'll come through as we just closed, but there are a number of factors that are contributing to that. Again, Andy is going to be working with build leaders on recovery plans. And so I feel very, very confident in both the plan ahead and also in the investments that we've been making within the build program. So with that in mind, though, I do want to just call a few team members forward, specifically Leanne, Dara, Jill, Stephen, Cam, that team in that OOR program of Florida. So not even what we'll talk about RAF in a second, but that particular team in Florida has pushed out 40 completions since the beginning of the year. And it's a new team that's working together. We pulled Cam and Dara out of the Bahamas. We pulled Leanne from Houston. Jill and Steve have been holding it down in Panama City for a minute, but it's awesome, awesome progress there. To point to RAF, which is also operating in Florida since the team just successfully closed our Louisiana operation, they have done really awesome troubleshooting around the referral pipeline that was kind of clogging us for a minute. In particular, I want to point.
Little thing popped out.
Oh, sorry, I think someone's off mute. It sounds like a child, which is better like to listen to than my voice. But I'm just gonna keep going. I want to call forward Varush, who I'm not even gonna say what it is, but he accomplished something that we've rarely seen at SBP in pursuit of unlocking additional referrals for the RAF program. And the RAF team will speak to that at kind of a later date, either watch your inboxes or maybe it'll come up on the call. But they've done some awesome troubleshooting there. Also within the build program, our net promoter score is solid. And this is thanks to April and her leadership and the network of volunteer managers and volunteer coordinators that have helped to bring in volunteers, and then our construction team that's providing an awesome experience. So kudos across the board on net promoter score. We are a few months away at this point from our Puerto Rico program, that build program sunsetting. You heard from Adrian, we're gonna maintain a DAP office, which will also host some preparedness coordinators in Puerto Rico. So we'll maintain a presence as well as some advisory services that Reese and JR and team have been pointing towards. But we are going to realize the sunset of our Puerto Rico build program. So I just call that to say that if you can, and in your own way, just share a little bit of love with the team that's helping us wind down our program there. That includes Jomari, that includes Rafa, Alex, Madeline has just completed her post as our volunteer manager, but just show them a little bit of love because it's, as you can imagine, a challenge to close down a program and kind of that emotional journey. So on to OH, we're a little bit behind on sales and vacancies, but we're tracking really, really well on new projects, both in New Orleans, in Southeast Louisiana, and in Texas. Our prepare and share programs are largely on track. Exciting, and I kind of call this, but prepare is going to be adding AmeriCorps members that they'll help in the expansion of our preparedness resources to SBP's client base. So we're excited about that. And then share just issued, thanks to Mackenzie and Angela, its latest round of grant funds for Hurricane Ian recovery, giving much needed dollars to nonprofits and partners that are doing really good work and without the resources. So exciting there. And then let me end here on DAP before passing it over to Reese. So we're slightly behind, but with Claire and the team, we're investing smartly, and our approach, we're approaching operations in 7 different disaster impacted communities, which is wild. We set a goal of being present, I think it was 6 or 7 this year, and we're again 4 months in and almost at 7. So it's wild, the geographic expansion of this, and serving more people in more communities. But importantly, while we're a little bit behind overall, the DAP team filed the most number of appeals that they have in any month in DAP's history back in March. I think they did 96, which doesn't include some of the appeals that also happened in Hawaii. And so the team has demonstrated that they're capable of great things. And so I'm sure that with the investments that we're making, with Claire's leadership and the team support, we're going to see DAP continue to make awesome impact. So again, tons and tons of bright spots. Remember this, we're going to check back in a few months to kind of see how we're progressing. But because of you and because of this team, I am and we are convinced that we're going to accomplish really awesome things this year. So thanks again for how you're showing up and what you're carrying. And with that, Reese, do you want to take a little bit more of advise and advocate?
Yeah, it's tough to follow Thomas and that kind of enthusiasm, but let me also echo it. These last few months, watching people plug in and raise their hand for Kaizen committees and jump in to make opportunities better and more frequent, it's been really inspiring, and so thank you. On the advocate front, and great work to the DAP team, who I'm convinced is the thin end of the wedge that is going to drive SBP's work forward in really highly visible ways. So please keep up that great work and let us know what support you need from us. In terms of advocacy, we're looking pretty good on a few fronts. I don't know who's keeping score at home. Congress has not been particularly productive this time, but I had a good talk with Senate staffers yesterday who are going to continue pushing for One App, which we did get reintroduced this Congress, and which we're still hopeful the House will take action on before the end of the session. I'm headed to Washington the week after next and the week after that to continue following up with some specific member offices in the House T&I committee. So stay tuned for more there. Thanks to Josh Bryant and Kristen Monteleon's incredible work with the state of Florida, we are on track to launch an additional pilot. This is not ready for prime time or public consumption, but I expect SBP to be in receipt of several thousands of records of direct FEMA assistance for folks who are affected by Hurricane Idalia, and SBP and its partners at Verisk and a couple of other places are going to use remote estimation technology and third-party aerial imagery to suggest houses, specific properties where people likely got less assistance than they would use. So really trying to take the hard work of Claire and her DAP team and expand that to a way we can do it without a homeowner even needing to file an appeal, but simply on the basis of picture evidence here. So I'm excited about that and really thankful to Kristen, who put a ton of work into some really compelling data. I think soon, Kristen, we should have a little lunch and learn and have you go through some of what we learned in Florida, which could be really compelling for a lot of folks on this call. We continue to create a coalition of support for SBP's advocacy objectives. Again, there hasn't been much movement on One App, so we haven't fired it up, but we've been in touch just in the last month or so here with the Reinsurers Association, the National Low Income Housing Center, the Build Strong Coalition, among others. Those of you who are interested to know more about this sort of coalition, please reach out anytime. I'm happy to talk about who our friends are. From an advised perspective, we are on track to generate $3 million in advisory and advocacy services revenue and grants this year. I'll let Keith, if he chooses later, to get into the breakdown, but I want to make clear something. This is driven, rising largely on the back of JR and Sherry and Maria and Josh and Hannah's really incredible work to understand what our government clients need and to build training and advisory products that are both modestly priced and right on the money in terms of what our government partners and clients are looking for. So our ability to meet this goal is no small thing, and it's really being driven by the thoughtful approach that JR and the advice team are taking to our government partners every day. So really want to say a lot of thanks there. We're on track to train 1,000 government leaders this year. We're already north of 200, and I expect The large majority of these will come through Josh Bryant's work as we extend the leader practitioner course into the emergency management and disaster response phase of the recovery cycle. I noted here that our HUD TA provider designation's on track. It's really a technicality. HUD opens this window every so often, and presently the window's not open. So we're not off track, though there's not an active opportunity for us to apply. Besides that, there's some really exciting updates to give on the Fellows program, and I'll just say that we're on track here so that I don't steal an ounce of thunder from Hannah Troutwine and Sherry Risk, who have really been working their fingers to the bone to identify some of the incredible people you see on the call today. I think I saw Tim and Shayla and some others as well, but I'll maybe hold back there and let Hannah talk about Fellows in just a second. And I don't know who I'm handing it to.
I think it's me, Reese.
Keith.
Can everyone hear me?
Correct. Sorry
Great.
about that.
No worries. Thanks, Reese, for that, and certainly lots to be excited about. I get the privilege of talking kind of about our support service and resource areas, certainly some of which I support and own, but others that other leaders get to own. But so bear with me here, but lots of great progress that we're seeing across the board. I think there's some areas that obviously we're making better strides than others, and certain areas that we'll probably need to kind of focus on. But thus far, good work in Q1 and certainly through April today. So starting with technology, many of you know, and you'll hear about here shortly, but we've resourced a new tech team. So for 15 years, we never had really tech dedicated resources. We now have that. That's going to improve and make our ops lives easier. It's going to make the onboarding process easier, the offboarding process. So again, I think you'll see a lot of pull through from that investment that we're making, and I'm excited that Kristen Monteleone is leading that group, obviously with Chanel's support, and so excited to have them on board and moving towards some of these great initiatives that we've got outlined. Additionally, from a tech perspective, the Salesforce team is making great progress on the priorities that we outlined to start the year. If you recall, we went through a pretty detailed discovery session of what areas from an ops perspective could be better from your all's perspective. We mapped that all out. Obviously, there's certain quarter deliverables of when we hope to achieve those. We're tracking well on the Q2 deliverables, and the big initiative that you'll hear about later on in this presentation is a little bit about the transition from moving the RAF Salesforce instance into our main Salesforce instance. So lots of good work on that front. It will simplify RAF's lives, our OR's lives. There'll be kind of consistent data sharing that'll exist between the two. So that's a big win. From a development perspective, we are slightly behind on our plan. There's certainly some areas that we'll need to focus on, mainly our AmeriCorps kind of match requirements and some of our national grant objectives. But the good news is we've got a full team, or at least a bigger team, in Lee and Shannon here. So excited to have them. Some good news to start the year is the Volunteer Florida and CDP grants that'll support our new operating site in Adelia. We've got a $600,000 grant from Target that'll support our share program. So great work there. And then lastly, a $250,000 grant from Centerpoint for our Old Spanish project in Houston. So good wins. Got to keep going, but I think we'll get there. From an HR perspective, I just want to mention, I know Kyle, and you've heard of Dr. Lori, I think occasionally on previous calls, but Kyle and Dr. Lori are partnering with the process, are partnering through the process of starting to update our engagement survey. We'll look to revamp that a little bit, but that likely will be rolled out here in late summer or early fall. Really, right now as an organization, we want to focus on these Kaizen committees, which you'll hear about shortly, and we think the sequencing makes sense. So know that that's in motion. And then lastly, from a finance perspective, kind of with developments, kind of off against budget, so too is our general financial performance. I think we're going to catch up here once some of these larger kind of grant commitments come through. I things should get better aligned and more on track. There's no reason to be concerned. But I will also say, what can you do to help? Well, that last bullet, continue to push yourselves, your teams, find savings. It's out there, and we're making good headway thus far. A good example to note is the finance team wasn't really satisfied with some property tax assessments that we had on our St. Peter project. We appealed to the city. The city agreed. We reduced the valuation, and that's going to lead to nearly $100,000 in savings over the next 4 years. So again, we can continue to do more and more of this. You all control the relationships, the vendors, the contractors, push and ask for less. So you can do it. And with that, back to Kyle.
That's right. Thank you, Keith. Very much appreciated. All right. So next up, we have Hannah Troutwine to lead us through Program Spotlight Fellows expansion. And Hannah is our Disaster Resilience and Recovery Manager. Hannah, it's all you.
Thanks so much, Kyle. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to take a minute to talk about the Fellows Program, our plans for expansion this year, and how things are going. So just a reminder, our Fellows Program really centers around this idea that small to medium-sized communities across the country, those that we know and love, don't really have a fair shake at getting a lot of the resilience and mitigation funding that exists at a federal and state level, although these communities are highly at risk for future natural disasters. And so SBP hires locals from these communities to do a few things. Above all, we want to add capacity in order to access more of this funding. And in going after that funding, the goal of the fellow is to, in their 2-year term with SBP as a fellow, to access at least $5 million in resilience and mitigation for the community that they are serving. So that's kind of a little synopsis of the program. I want to direct our attention this morning to this map here on the right and talk through where we are at historically and with expansion. So these dots in white, if you can see those, are locations where we have previously placed a fellow. In Lake Charles, Louisiana, we had a fellow there for almost 2 years, Matt Wheeler, who actually moved on to another role just last week. So we're excited to see kind of the full cycle of a fellowship and what that can look like. And in Eastern Kentucky, we also had a fellow, which I'll get into here in a moment. In green areas, this is where we currently have fellows placed. So we're really excited to see these continue to expand to new areas. We have Elizabeth Daigle, who is in the Bayou region in Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. She is in her 2nd year as a fellow with SBP. And then we also have new fellows who I'm excited to introduce you to a little bit now, and then they will introduce themselves in our next slide as new staff members. The first is really a move from Eastern Kentucky to West Virginia for Sarah Hambrick. Sarah was our fellow in Eastern Kentucky following riverine flooding there in July of 2022. And so she helped a lot of those communities recover over the past year. And we're excited to now move her back to her home state of West Virginia, where she's going to get to work with the state resiliency office there. And then our 3 new employees are Tim, Shayla, and Will. Tim is working in Georgia with the City of Savannah Office of Emergency Preparedness. Shayla is in the Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester Council of Government in South Carolina. And Will is in Austin, Texas with the Texas General Land Office. So very excited to continue to see new faces here. And if you'll look back at the map, these yellow areas are where we are currently hiring fellows. And so we expect in the next month or 2 to continue to add to this team. And then these areas in blue are really our goals for the rest of 2024 and into 2025. If we're able to hit all of these communities, we will have 30 to 35 fellows across the country, and we'll have at least 1 fellow in all 10 FEMA regions, which would be really exciting. So we are excited and thankful for the progress. Thank you to the whole Advise team and fellows support staff like Sherry and Josh and JR, who continue to make this program a success. And hopefully by next all staff call, we will have even more fellows to introduce you to. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. Next up, I want to invite Courtney Matthews, our HR generalist, to introduce our new staff members. Courtney?
All right, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, we have come to a favorite part, one of our favorite parts of these calls. It's where our new hires will introduce themselves. So they are ready. They're ready to go. They've been given their little funny question here. So they're going to basically, as we always do, they're going to give their name, their position, where they are located, and then they will answer a question so we can kind of get an idea of how they think, right? And the question that I've selected and given to them as they introduce themselves is this one. What unique thing would you do to survive as long as you can in a zombie apocalypse? So, Joe, you are going to kick us off, please, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a Salesforce administrator based in Nashville. Zombie apocalypse. I think I just collaborate with the zombies, honestly. I'm sure they have some bureaucracy that needs to be managed, so I think that's my approach.
Love it. Thank you. Shannon, you're next.
Sure. I was recently out to dinner with friends and a similar question was brought up, and everyone agreed that I'd be the person that would be harboring loved ones that had been turned into zombies in my basement. But I'd turn that into a way to leverage some of the people with power that have extra resources. I'd offer to hide their loved ones as well, and then fuel some research around finding a cure.
Awesome. Thank you. Hope.
I am Hope Sherman, Director of Real Estate. I'm in New Orleans, and so definitely not as creative as the other folks. I would probably just like seal up my doors and windows and all the access points and cut a hole in my roof to get some rainwater and sort of dig in and stay in the house with my pets and create a hydroponic garden and see how long I could survive.
Thank you. Thank you. Chanel.
Hi, my name is Chanel. I am the IT coordinator. I'm located in New Orleans, Louisiana. So for me, mine is a little different. What would I do to survive? First, I will get me a 2-story urgent care building, block it off, make sure everything's boarded up. And then with whoever I have in that urgent care unit, I will disperse people out to get supplies for food, stuff like that. And yeah, that's how I'm going to survive.
Chanel, I knew. Chanel's our new IT coordinator. I've been having some meetings with her and Kristen. I knew she was going to give it some thought. I knew it. I knew it.
I have been thinking about this for a very long time.
longer than when I sent the question, I see. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chanel. Brian, you're next. Is Brian in the building?
Hi, sorry about that. You guys, hi, I'm Brian Tennette, Director of Construction in New Orleans. I can build a house, but sometimes the computer muting video stuff, I'm not quite as savvy. So Courtney posed the question, what would I do to survive? Well, the first thing I did, I jumped on Google to see pros and cons in that environment. I don't have a lot of fat content, so I'm thinking, okay, let me check the local building code and find out if there's any easements around my home. I need to start hot and heavy behind a plant bed with some fresh vegetables and fruit. So then I created a Gantt chart so I could track how long it was going to take for the different feet of vegetables to actually mature. I think that's going to get me going for a few weeks. Besides a hefty little pantry, I think that's going to get it going.
Thank you, Brian. Very director of construction type response. The Gantt chart. Thank you. All right, we are moving on to our fellows that Hannah just mentioned in the previous slide. So we're getting into them. So Tim, Georgia.
My name's Tim Davis. I'm the Resilience Fellow here in Georgia. I live just outside of Savannah. And Courtney didn't give us a whole lot of parameters for this, just how we would survive. And that might tell you a little bit about me right there. Having spent some time in a combat zone, I want a lot of intelligence about what's going on and why. But when I asked my wife about this, because she knows I don't enjoy these kinds of questions because it just sends me down a little black hole. But she said, you just do what you always do. She says, you're always looking for a chance to go disappear into the woods and hide out in places that other people think are too harsh to survive. And I said, that's probably true. I probably would do that. And Brian, I'll tell you this: if you're planning on growing a garden, I've taught Master Gardener for 27 years. So if you want to know about how long it's going to take and how much work it is, just give me a holler.
Survival will have you survive longer. Teamwork. Teamwork. Shayla, you're next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shayla. I'm in South Carolina. I'm actually like in Berkeley County. I don't know. So my thing is, I'm such a social person. I don't want to be left out. So I think I want to be a zombie too. Y'all ever seen the movie with Tom Hanks, Castaway? I don't want to be talking to myself if I'm the only one surviving. So I think I might let my daughter bite me.
Yes, Shayla. Thank you so much. I love that. Just if you can't beat them, join them. All right, our last fellow, Will.
I'm Will. I'm the Texas Resiliency Fellow, and I would survive a zombie apocalypse while everybody else was raiding like the grocery stores and hardware stores and stuff like that. I'd probably go to like a pet store and get all the pet food, because technically people can eat that too. And I feel like it's a lot less dangerous to go to the pet store there, and then probably like some small garden store to get like tomato seeds and stuff.
Thank you. You've got to do what you've got to do. Lee, have you made it back?
I have. Hi, everyone. My name is Lee Syatka, and I'm based in New York City. And I just started on Monday as the new Chief Development Officer. And in terms of the zombie apocalypse, I would be keen to learn more about them. Their motivations, their aspirations, their fears, all of this being in service to trying to find some common ground with them. But if that doesn't work, I'm gonna join Chanel.
Thank you. And last but not least, Lane.
Hi everyone, I'm Lane. I'm a staff accountant. I started Monday as well, and I would find a power plant, like a plant. It's already 45, and like Lee said, I would like, do I need salt, garlic? Like, how do I defend myself? Like, it's already nocturnal. Like, I need to know, like, do I need light? And so I think I just would fortify myself like in a power plant or something, and I would need to know like, how can I like defend myself against, and then I'll set up like a comms or something. I'll try, I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. You got to figure these things out. We don't ever know. We've got to figure these out. But you guys got some great ideas. But welcome to all of you. This is a great team, as you can see. So, all right. I think it's back to you, Kyle.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Courtney. That was great. And welcome all our new team members. Next up, I want to invite Anya Conlon, who is our Chief of Staff, to give us an update on transformation update and Kaizen committees. Anya?
Kyle, thanks. And to all of our new team members, welcome. It's exciting to have new faces, and it's also exciting to hear how you all think about survival. But I certainly look forward to getting to know and work with each of you. So welcome. As Kyle mentioned, I am Anya Conlon. I am SVP's Chief of Staff, and I am based here in New Orleans. And I'm glad to have a little bit of time on today's call to share an update on where we stand with our transformation work and the Kaizen committees. So for those of y'all who are new, These Kaizen committees are an initiative that was introduced by Ron Guerrier, our interim Chief Transformation Officer. And it's a part of our effort toward deepening an investment in being a continuous learning organization and creating a mechanism to lift up ideas from across SBP to support our mission. And for those who may not be familiar, the word Kaizen is the principle of TPS, the Toyota Production System. And it's a strategy for employees at all levels of an organization to work together proactively to achieve regular incremental improvements, continuous improvement to a company. And so here at SBP, we're in a moment of really leaning into shifting our culture and reinvesting in creating one where all of our employees are really actively engaged in improving SBP. And we're really living our core value of continuous improvement and constructive discontent. And so to that end, and for our processes, these Kaizen committees will focus on 3 parts of our work that are critical to growing and scaling. That's people, process, and technology. As many of you know, we initially announced this back in February, and so have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to build up to this point. And over the past month, as we prepare for rollout, and because we know we can't boil the ocean and solve everything at once across these 3 buckets, leaders from each area have been mapping out some of the critical focus areas within each to define where is it that we need the team's creative insight and problem solving to get some quick wins as we get started. As it relates to culture and transformation, as we proceed to roll out, we also want to be really intentional in reestablishing how, as an organization, we behave, how we make people feel, and how we operate. And of course, this is the first step on a journey, but what you see on the slide here are 5 of the things that we want to make sure that we're consciously working on and that you see and feel as different as we roll the committees out. So that includes being more planful, developing an organization that's built around collaboration and trust, and really empowering our team. The Kaizen committees are a start of our behaving differently as an organization. And as we roll it out, this is what you can really look for and expect. But importantly, within each, it's not just the words that we say, it's how we behave. And so what we hope as we roll the committees out is that they're helping us build a foundation that we can start changing our culture and changing our internal climate. And over time, we'll continue to build and go on this journey. And what's important is that requires everybody's commitment and support and feedback as we move forward. And so in this moment, hear me say first a big thank you for being a part of it and being part of giving that feedback. Before I move on and talk about next steps for the committees, I'm going to pause here and actually turn it over to Reese to share just a little bit more about how we're thinking about this culture shift. Reese?
Well, thank you, Anya. And I don't know how much more I can add to what you did really clearly and thoughtfully there. I was thinking about what I hope to say here. And on the one hand, there's that super quotable Peter Drucker line that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. And I believe it. Though I think our strategy is a good one, there's nothing that's more important than our culture. I was trying to think of a way to quickly summarize it. Anybody here from North Carolina? At least one person here is from North Carolina. The state motto there is this Latin phrase, esse quam videri, and it translates to be rather than to seem. And I think that's kind of where we are as an organization in this cultural moment. It's the easiest thing in the world for me to go around on panels and say we're a continuous improvement organization who cares about Toyota and gets its best ideas from the shop room floor. It is a much more difficult thing to establish Kaizen committees, to accept the opinions of 30 excited people who've signed up to join them. The work here to improve our culture is important, and the opportunity that we have to do it here, I think, is singular. And I think we have an important opportunity to become the thing that we want to be, rather than to merely seem like it. That will require engagement from all of you, especially those of you who join these committees. But what I'd want all of you to keep in mind is maybe a reflection on a conversation Tim and I were having recently, but our culture will amount to the way that we treat each other, to the way we treat our partners and our clients, to the way we address the problems in the communities that we care so much about. It'll be in the way we contribute to these Kaizen committees, and in the way the leadership team hears and understands and responds to the cultural inputs you all are given through this really important process. So what I want to say is that if this place is going to become what we want it and need it to become, what it's really capable of, we'll need all your help, and this is the moment. And I'm excited for it, because I believe that the culture at SVP can be for each of us what my experience has largely been, which is this is an organization that cares deeply about really pernicious problems. And it has provided me for more than 13 years now an opportunity to grow and learn and develop and put my full self into some of the most tricky challenges that low-income communities are facing. I believe that we can build an organization that provides that kind of opportunity for anyone who's willing to come here and learn and grow and develop and do the work. But it will start here and now with these committees. And so I want to say again, just thank you to those of you who are contributing. Please bring your very best and most innovative thoughts to it. And I look forward to reviewing the outcomes of your committees. So thank you, Anya, for an opportunity to reflect with the group.
Well said, Reese, and thank you. So to the 29 of y'all who volunteered, thanks again for raising your hand to be a part of this and for your patience as we got to this point. We will formally kick off next week, provided I can find the time among a couple of y'all being at the National VOED. But we're really excited to move it forward. We're excited to have your input, and we'll share updates as we move through the process. So be on the lookout for that. Don't hesitate to reach out to ask questions and engage as we move through this. And truly thanks again for the chance to share with you all today. Kyle, back to you.
Awesome, Anya, thank you so much. And Reese, thank you. I can't really follow that up. That was fantastic and very well put. But I am looking forward to the Kaizen committee work. And a big thanks to everybody who has joined, and we'll get started on it shortly. Next up, we have some HR updates. So upcoming holidays, as y'all know, Memorial Day on May 27th, and then also Juneteenth on June 19th. Our offices will be closed, so no staff, no AmeriCorps members working or serving. And we are now 1.5 months away from hurricane season. So for those of y'all who have not been with us since last hurricane season, we send out a survey to all staff members and AmeriCorps members. That survey is going to ask for a few things. It's going to ask for your most up-to-date contact information, so email address, phone number, current address where you reside, but it will also ask you about where you would evacuate if you're living in an area that sees hurricanes. And we ask that you have 2 different locations. So we all know hurricanes take many different paths. They can switch paths. It's great to have 2 different options. And so it's helpful for us to know that and make sure that we're also practicing what we preach as far as storm preparedness. And with that said, now is the time to begin storm season preparations. So funny enough, our website, if you go to our website, there's tons of resources about how to get prepared for storms, specifically in this case, hurricanes. So our at-home resource guide is a really helpful walkthrough. Everything from knowing what types of insurance to have, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, documenting your belongings, how to take care of your important documents. And I think one of the biggest things is how to make a disaster supply kit, and it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. In fact, we have a building a disaster supply kit on a budget And if you don't have anything put together right now, it's the perfect time to start. When we get closer to hurricane season, especially at least in New Orleans where I've been, and I've seen it firsthand, things start disappearing off the shelf. So now is the time. Further, we will also be hosting a disaster response tabletop exercise in early June. So please look out for that invite. And do expect that the updated contact evacuation plan survey, it'll be sent out in the next week or so. So please keep an eye out for that. Some upcoming events, I want to invite Lily and Shannon to talk a little bit about Give NOLA Day. Lily, Shannon?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Lily Hannigan for the new folks on the call, and my title is National Development Manager, and I work with Shannon on individual giving here at SBP, based in New Orleans. So coming up on May 7th, I believe, on Tuesday, is Give NOLA Day, which is a campaign run by the Greater New Orleans Foundation, which is one of our partners here in the city or in the region. And it's a 24-hour citywide campaign. They have some fun incentives. It's a really great way to encourage smaller dollar gifts, new donors. There's some incentives like a lanyard fund, prizes, raffles. And SBP is proud to participate again. Last year, we had our most successful campaign to date. We raised over $50,000, so we hope to continue that success this year. So stay tuned for more information. Please follow SBP New Orleans on social, SBP USA on social. And if you're so inclined, please consider sharing the content. You guys are the best ambassadors, and this is a great way to really invite friends and family to join the cause and support. And yeah, more to come there, and stay tuned. Shannon, anything to add?
No, well said, Lily. You've been running this project, and we appreciate everyone else's collaboration.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. And the last update here, Jen, if you want to talk about our website launch, we would love to hear it.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Jennifer Beaver, Director of Marketing, for those who don't know me. And I apologize, my lawn guy showed up right as I started speaking. So sorry for the noise in the background, but just a quick brief overview of what this project aims to do. The goal of the website migration is to move our content management system from Craft CMS. I'm so sorry. It is so loud. From Craft CMS to the latest and greatest version of WordPress. So moving our marketing to first-in-class technology, which will enable us to do so many things as far as audience analysis, traffic analysis on our website. This is the first phase in a multi-phase project. After the website launches, we'll then begin looking at our verbal and visual identity. All of these projects are very pivotal to organizational goals and their alignment with the marketing and communications team. Just as a quick update of where we are in the project, we've completed the design phase and are deeply in the development phase. We're looking at a tentative launch date of May 23rd. I say tentative because things change very quickly in website world. An email communication will go out days prior to the actual launch of the website to every employee, just so that everyone has a chance to look at the demo site, to interact with it, to see how we've kind of rearranged content, and maybe an opportunity to encourage some enthusiasm before we unveil our new website to the world. I just really want to take a moment to say thank you to every internal stakeholder who has actively participated in our meetings, who's delivered content quickly and thoughtfully, and who has reviewed the technical language of our website. It's been a heavy lift, and our team recognizes that we cannot do it alone. And your enthusiasm really just continues to fuel our progress. So more to come here. Be on the lookout for an email that will provide you with updates and links. And I'm available for any questions that anyone may have.
Super exciting, Jen. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the update here. Next up, and the last big piece of our agenda today, is a tech update with Kristen Monteleone, our Senior Technology and Projects Manager. Kristen, all you.
Hi guys. As Keith alluded to earlier, we're really excited to have a dedicated team to support you with tech needs at this point. So it's not just me and Kyle chatting and trying to figure out what's wrong with everything. We now actually can keep an eye on everything. Very excited about that. So just a couple updates on like where we're headed right now. So the first thing is in the fall, you might remember that we had Joe Russo, a consultant, assisting us. He had begun a general push for centralizing our accounts, so trying to make it so that like each department didn't have their own Zoom account or Adobe account, and that we were all on one account together. The benefit of this for everybody is that we are able to maintain control of our files. We don't lose data. We're less subject to data breach. A lot of times there's a cost saving associated with it. And it prevents siloing, so everyone is using the same tools and has access to the same tools. On that note, I think there are some accounts that are still out there that we haven't picked up on yet. So if you are currently using any accounts that you know that you are subscribing to yourself, it's on like your credit card, please reach out to tech at SBP USA so I don't have to go through your credit card receipts and come and scold you. And then we can move on from there. The other option is also if you guys need any new accounts, please reach out to tech at SBP USA or file a JIRA ticket. There's an option for that. And we can review the use case and best tools. We want to make sure that we're picking the right tools for the organization and not the right tools just for your one single use case. So we really appreciate that. The second thing I want to note for you guys is that we're rolling out new IT policies. So in addition to the finance policies and like the HR policies that we've signed in the past, so like the business expense policy, ethics policy, we're rolling out 3 IT policies. There's a general use policy. So like return your laptop to us when you leave kind of situation. An AI policy, which is about how we expect the organization to start adapting to using AI, and a data retention policy, which we've had in name but haven't actually used practically over the last few years, about like when we can actually dispose of records too. There will probably be more to come about the AI policy. I think that's actually a topic that to some extent the tech committee will be talking about, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward with that. And finally, I just wanted to forecast for you guys, there's no drop date on this, that file storage will be moving to Google Drive completely. So we have some people that are currently using Dropbox. There are some people using Box still, I think. And then we also have sporadic instances of people storing things in OneDrive or SharePoint or other cloud services. And specifically, we want to move everything into Google Drive because we are already paying for it. We already have buy-in, and it can do pretty much anything that all of those other services can do. So just want to make sure that we all are on the same page there and give you guys some time to organize any files you might have that are not currently in Drive before we start this process. And also, I'm so excited to have Chanel on the team. I hope everyone who's interacted with her has been just as excited as I have been. And I also want to remind you guys that JIRA tickets are now an option and active. And I am very excited for you guys to start using them. And if you need help navigating there, they're linked from the staff resources page along with the separate Salesforce tickets. And either way, if you file one of those tickets, we can transfer them to each other. We'll make sure that you get the help you need. And then I think, Keith, are you going to take this one?
Yeah, I'm happy
Okay,
to.
cool.
And Kristen, thanks again. Your leadership here, your tenacity to kind of get us into a better spot. Again, I feel really pleased with the progress that you guys are making and certainly excited about what's to come. So thank you. All that to say, and I'm taking the lead here because Brittany is out. She's out on vacation and getting some good rest. With that, I would just encourage you all also to think about getting some rest and taking some time over the next several months. Disaster season is fast approaching. Getting recharged and clearing your head is important, as obviously this is expected to be another busy one. So please keep that in mind. Specific to the Salesforce, and I alluded to this earlier, again, I think we're looking at the slide now. Again, lots of effort that went on in the early part of this year to just outline what does the organization need and what do specifically your business lines need for more streamlined ops and better service. And so we went through the detail of kind of interviewing each of you or many of you to understand what that looked like. We prioritized our needs based on the assessments, and every quarter from here on out, we're going to be working towards a host of initiatives, objectives. First, the good news is we're off to a fast start. We're certainly chipping away at that. You can see what's done there on the far left. The big initiative, though, as I mentioned, is the RAF one, and that is really just kind of streamlining and making sure that all of our ops are in a single instance of Salesforce. So Salesforce is and will continue to be our central record keeping system. And I encourage you to stop using, Google Sheets and other Excels and trackers and trying to figure out how we can leverage Salesforce more optimally and certainly more efficiently within your businesses. So excited about this move and this progress that we're making. You'll see, obviously, in terms of the forecasting, what some of the objectives that we've got in the pipeline. That includes kind of the grant management module portal, which will certainly improve some of the functionality there. But also, we'll look to actually move our executive scorecard and goal tracking into Salesforce altogether. So that'll be a big, hopefully, help and win when we get to it the second part of this year. I would be a little bit remiss or maybe I'm a little premature here in kind of giving a little bit of a shout out, but specific to the RAF, Grace and Steve, thank you so much on behalf of the Salesforce team. All the questions and responses have been huge. Because of your effort, we are confident there's going to be a smooth transition, and it wouldn't have happened had you not put so much time and effort into it. So thank you. Back to you, Kyle.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Keith. And y'all, Mike did share, for those of y'all who don't know, our staff resource page. And I'm just going to pull it up here so you can see it. But this is specifically the technology portion of the staff resource page. He dropped the link in the chat. So if you're new or if you just don't have it, click on it now and bookmark it. This is really a helpful resource. Not only does it have everything about like technology and, here's where you can submit a Jira ticket. You can download or request Adobe Acrobat. You can get Microsoft Office, but there's also a bunch of organizational resources. So our values, org chart, handbook, you name it, it's in here. So please utilize that. It's a really helpful tool. And if you don't have it already, again, just click on that link that Mike dropped in the chat and save that as a bookmark. All right, so last but not least is our shout outs. So for those of y'all who have not been a part of this, this is pretty much a free-for-all where we can shout out other team members who are embodying SBP values, doing a fantastic job. There is not really an order. You can do it vocally by unmuting. You can also type it out in the chat. Either option is a-okay, and I'll kick us off. And I know it's already been said at least once or twice, but want to shout out both Kristen Monteleone and Chanel. Just an absolute fantastic job in getting our tech diagnosed. As Kristen mentioned, she and I have been working as kind of the unofficial tech people for the last however many years, and having two people who are dedicated to tech IT is going to be and has been already so helpful. And a great example of that is all of the various disparate systems that Kristen and now Chanel are looking through to really solidify and bring together to be very streamlined. So just a ton of great work, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say fantastic job. So thank you all. All right, so with that, the stage is anyone who dares to unmute themselves.
I would like to take the time to shout out Becky, our DAP senior manager, because she's always willing to support our team. There's never a question that doesn't have an answer. She knows that FEMA policy like the palm of her hand, and if not, she makes sure that we get the correct information. So shout out to Becky.
I'd like to go really quickly as well. Shout out to Hannah Troutwine, to Hannah, to Hannah. So with all of these fellows, we're pushing out. We're probably going to send like 3 or 4 more offers today. Hannah has been, you know, it's just not a position description, right? She's meeting with these organizations. She's putting together what they need. We're posting it. Her, Sherry, Josh, we're doing so many interviews in a week. We are constantly back and forth, as you can see with that map. So Sherry, Hannah, Josh as well, Jasmine on our team, she's coming in towards the end and knocking out reference checks like crazy. So I just want to shout them out because, you know, when we first started talking about these fellows, we were thinking, do we have to bring in outside help? Like what's happening? So we are getting it done with the team that we have. And so just wanted to shout them out because they are spending so much time outside of their normal duties to recruit these fellows and get them going. So big shout out to all of them.
I want to take a quick second to shout out a couple of the build teams. So in New Orleans yesterday, we had a great partnership with one of our NGO partners, Good 360. We did some kit packing with the Saints and Pelicans. Hugely successful in community and kind of partnership building exercise. So congrats to the New Orleans team. Also have to take a moment to recognize that the Florida EN teams are delivering on what might be the most construction spend and impact in a 90-day period that SBP's ever seen. So huge props to that team for kind of steering through multiple programs and just keeping eye on the ball there. And then lastly, for development, for months after Hurricane Idalia went through Florida, finding some funding through partners with Volunteer Florida, CDP to help us provide additional impact in Florida for the most recent hurricane.
Hey, Andy. Awesome. I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to thanks to Courtney and Kyle for the same thing. Surely Hannah and Sherry and the advice team have been working hard to orient fellows, but we're also hiring 12 people in 6 months, which is one of the most rapid hiring exercises we've ever been through as an organization. And let me tell you something, Courtney Matthews and Kyle Carson have been sitting just really cool as can be, calm at the controls, ready to move people through the process, setting up a framework for us to take notes and review candidates and advance them along with pace and predictability. And I know that that type of stuff doesn't happen by accident either. So way to go, advise team, but also huge thanks to Kyle and Courtney, the HR team, who I know has been working really hard to make this possible.
I want to take a quick minute and shout out Joe, Brittany and Joe especially. I feel like they've become my best friends with some of the just little tech issues and JIRA tickets I've submitted. So thank you guys for just really, really good customer support and being on it. Also want to shout out the volunteer department and construction departments in finding really creative ways to support volunteers, whether that's our traditional model or doing some things behind the scenes. Really good stuff there. And thank you for being innovative. And then lastly, sorry, 2 additional pieces. Juliet, really great working with Juliet to build the new program that I think will be really helpful as we look at ways to creatively deploy volunteers. And then also Andy, stepping into your new position, just really good direction and communication. So thank you guys.
I want to shout out Chanel and Joe for both hitting the ground running as they've started with us. We have so many tech needs, and there are so many people that have reached out immediately and become comfortable working with them, and they've been down for it, and I really appreciate that. Also, just in general, the Salesforce team really appreciate how organized. I wish Brittany was here to tell her that, but how organized everything has been through JIRA specifically, and like project board post the discovery process we went through. It's been really impressive to watch how much project management software can help. And then also I wanted to shout out Katie Malucci, who has been like the solid center of the OH program for years as things have changed around her. And she's been transferred between different supervisors and stuff, and she just like does an excellent job all around.
From the Prepare end, I'd really like to shout out the comms team again. Jen is always a wonderful partner, and Declan's been a wonderful addition to the comms team. We work really actively within Prepare as we're thinking about digital campaigns, and their intentional approach with us has been so important this year as we're trying to move towards really tracking what content and more engagement oriented content we can put on our social channels. So shout out especially to Declan for helping us to start doing twice a month reels on our social channels. You guys should go see them. They're very fun what he's been doing as we create scripts, etc. And also want to shout out him being such just a good partner going back and forth with me and Tessa for launching our first ever newsletter in Prepare this month. And so we really appreciate all the support that the comms team offers us, but also everyone across SVP.
I'll go again. I want to shout out Brian Tennett, who has hit the ground running. And if y'all have not yet met Brian, Brian's energy is infectious in the best possible way. I have been really impressed at how he's quickly come in and it's like he's been here for years. And just really want to thank you, Brian. Thanks for how you're thinking about things and for your leadership. All right, y'all. Well, I think that might be it. So many great shout outs, in the chats as well. So thank you. Thanks for your participation. For those of y'all who participated, thanks for your attention. For those of y'all who listened. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again. And we will see you next time. I'll get this uploaded and sent out later once it is downloaded and uploaded. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care, everybody.
Shout out for finishing on time. Just saying.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.